Hi, welcome back to my orchid life. I appreciate you coming by for another visit. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Today I am going to do something with 3 of my newer acquisitions, and I know I said I was going to wait, but I feel like I need to go ahead and put them in their setups because they all have new root growth already starting on them, so I want to go ahead and get ahead of the game. Today we are going to mount the Tillumnia J-Rack Firm Super Brown, and we're going to put her on this little mount. I have had the little pot that she came in strapped to this and hanging where she is going to live so she can kind of acclimate. And then we are also going to do something with my cucumber dendrobium, or cucumberin. It's also known as the gherkin orchid, and she's getting new roots and new growth, so I want to go ahead and do something with that before it gets too settled on this piece of wood. And then last but not least, my newly acquired RRM AIEA Cornerstone crossed with Lovebird. So when I initially got this from Jewel Orchid, I was unaware of what an RRM was. So if I remember correctly, back in the day, before they started reclassifying things, everything that had the fan type growth was an equitant orchid. And at some time they reclassified everything, so we had our Tillumnias, and then they had another class that was called the Rodriguesias. I will put the name up there, guys. Y'all know how I am with names. And when you take a Tillumnia and you hybridize it with a Rodriguesias, I'm so sorry, that's where you get the Rhodrumnia, which is what RRM stands for, Rhodrumnia. So there we go. Either way it goes, same care as Tillumnias. So let me grab a little bit of coffee. The weather here today in Colorado is about 70 degrees. The winds are at about 16 miles an hour. They're pretty strong here where I am, but I don't think they're 16 miles an hour. But they're strong enough that they're allowing the pollen to get blown into the home, and that pollen is blowing into my mouth and my nose, dry throat, runny nose. Boom, there you go. It's that time of the year. Let's see, which one, you know what, let's start with the Tillumnia J-Rack first, just because it is going to be a mount and it's going to be pretty easy to mount her. So right now she has 3 growths. Let's see, we have this one in the middle, we have this one here, and then we have this one. So I am going to put her on the mount this way. So I'm assuming this is the back of the plant. And the reason I'm going to go ahead and mount her now instead of later is because she does have quite a few new roots, as you can see, coming off of those growths. So let's get that done real quick. Originally, I wanted to put her in kind of like that. I thought she'd look kind of cute just sitting in the mount. But on second thought, I am going to just go ahead and we're going to mount her, maybe like this. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of moss here, and I'm going to take my Velcro strap and strap her on. I'm not going to cut any of the roots except for some of these that are obviously gone. I'm going to go ahead and cut those, but I'm not going to do a big cleanup on her just because I do want her to have as much as she can to kind of help sustain her until those other roots get a little bit longer. And this one right here is just a string. All right, and that is all we're gonna do on her. And then I'm just gonna put her here. And then we'll grab just a wee bit of moss because Tillumnias do like a nice wet dry cycle. And I have found with my other 2 Tillumnia that I have, the variegata and the Hoxiana, I think I'm saying that correctly, Hoxiana, that watering them in the morning, they are dry by the time I get home, or at minimum by the time I get ready to go to bed at night. So I'm just going to basically do it like that, and hopefully that will hold long enough, and put a little bit more moss right there. There we go. Hopefully this one little strap will be enough to hold everything in place because I did not bring another one. There we go. Boom. There we are. Let me just tuck that in real quick. And all three of them have been soaking in about 120 parts per million of CalMag and seaweed. So that is that. There we go. Excuse me, sorry. I'm pretty secure on there. I'm not going to move her too much. I'll just, where she hangs, I can just put the water like right at the top and let the moss absorb it down. So there's that one. And how are we going to put the tag? I'll figure out the tag later. Lay her there. And then let's do this one next. Let me just put that in there. And while I'm waiting on those to kind of clean off a little bit. So this one here, this is the RMR that I got from the Jewel Orchids. And she has this new growth. Get my paper towel. Let's see if we can see it. That new growth coming right there, as well as roots coming all over the place. And what I'm going to do with her is I'm going to put her in this open basket with just some small bark that will dry, you know, hopefully with the aeration it'll dry out and I won't overwater her. But I will put a little bit of moss at the bottom to keep the bark from falling out. I said a little bit and a big old clump just went in there. I was originally thinking of large bark, but I'm out of large bark, so we're just going to do small bark. And let me just do it this way. And then I'll just set her in this right here to help kind of keep moisture around her, but still allow that to dry out. I'll go ahead and dump that too. So, and she is, I could put her back in this little basket here, but I'm afraid that I will have to take her out in the next couple of months or a few months and then disturb her again. So I figure if I'm going to disturb her, I will disturb her one time. And she has a lot of happy roots in here. And really, I'm going to just take this pot and set it in this pot so she can just grow across. Maybe, I don't know. It'll depend on how easy it is to get the roots out without damaging, because I really don't want the styrofoam in here. And she does have some roots that can be cut off, but we'll see what we're going to do with her in just a minute. Right now we're going to deal with our cucumber here. So the cucumber does not require a lot of light. It can be grown in indirect light. And from what I've read, the flowers on here they're not, I mean, they're pretty, but they stink. So most people have this simply for the way that it looks, because it does have the look of a cucumber, or like those little small gherkin cucumbers whenever they get larger. You can't really see it right now. You can see a little bit of bumping on there. Let's see. Can you kind of see the texture a little bit? It's kind of hard to see because I can barely see it in person, so I don't know how well that's holding up. But a beautiful root system, and as I said, she's got, or it is got some new growth and new roots growing right there. Do you see it? So now I believe would be a good time, and since it was used to sitting on moss, I am putting a little bit of moss on the top of the setup just because it is used to it, but I'm not going to keep it on there the full time. So I'm putting this, he's going to hang on the wall, and because they don't require high light, where I'm going to put him is going to be perfect. He'll get bright indirect light. And this right here, I have a lot of rock at the bottom, so it's not, the pot looks big, but from what I understand, once these guys take off, they're crawlers. So the direction of growth right now is back here, and I am gonna just kind of stick him in the middle and see what he does. And he's gonna look ridiculous in this large pot for a while, but I don't want to disturb him any more than I have to. So again, I'm just going to use small bark. Let me move the big part out of the way. Small bark, and because it is where it's going to sit, it's a nice breezy area So this bark is not going to stay wet too long. It'll dry out rather quickly. Just make me a little hole here to put him in. And there are no roots that need to be cut off, so I'm not going to cut any of the roots off. And like I said, I'm just going to take a little bit of moss. I'm going to use fresh moss. Just about that much, just to kind of put around in where I'm putting him right now, because those roots are used to the moss and kind of being a little more moist. Because originally I had read that you don't want to let them dry out, but more sites, and especially the American Orchid Society, says that you don't want to leave them wet. So I am doing it this way. Oh, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a moss and bark mixture. That's what we'll do. This way, he gets used to the more dry, but we are also utilizing the humidity for the moisture. So I'll put the moss like right in the middle and then top it off with the bark. There we go. And then we have the best of both worlds. Boom. Now, if you grow the cucumber orchid and you think I'm messing up with putting it into this kind of a setup, leave it in the comments down below so that if I do need to correct what I am doing, I can do it before it gets too established in here. And as a reminder, for those of you who are new, I grow in my living room. My ambient temperature is around 72, 75 degrees, depending on the day and if I have my windows open or the air on. And humidity is between 30 and 50%, again, depending on whether I have my air conditioning on or not. I do grow with supplemental lighting. However, where this young man is going to sit, there will be no supplemental lighting. He'll be getting indirect light from a west-facing window that will be approximately about 10, 12 feet away, hanging on a wall. He will be sitting where there's going to be a lot of airflow because it's close to the back door that gets opened and closed a lot. So there we are. I know he looks really ridiculous in this ginormous pot right now, but eventually he will settle in. And I'm not going to put any water in there today. I'm going to let it dry out just because, like I said, I have been soaking them for a few hours. And now let's move on to this one. So let me cut off the roots that are obviously not viable. And I'm using the Fiskars. I didn't use them on the cucumber orchid, so I don't have to re-sterilize them. Okay, so let's see. Because depending on how many of these I have to cut off, I may just be able to pull out of the pot. Looks like all of these at the bottom are actually gone anyway, so that actually works in my benefit. Because like I said, ideally I would have left it in this basket if I needed to save the roots. But it looks like most of the roots that it was attached on have come off, so let's see. Let's untangle them here a little bit. There we go. Awesome. All right. So being a Tolumnia, it does want to be dry out quickly, and one of those roots has grown into the styrofoam. There we go. And I did all that, and it's a dead root. Oh well. But it does want to dry out quickly, and it is in a heap of moss. Let's just take all that out. Oh, you know what? Just put those in there for now. Get them out of the way. But the roots that are on the inside look rather healthy. So I think what I might do is the same thing, do a bark and moss mix, because it is used to being in the moss. And with the bark, it'll help dry the moss out more quickly. Yeah, it's been in there for a minute. It has a a little scent to it. It's not foul, like it's not spoiled, but it does have a little scent. And there's quite a bit of algae built up on it as well. So let's get her all cleaned up. And the other two I didn't put any hydrogen peroxide on because I didn't feel the need that it needed it. Now this one I will, just because of the amount of algae that was on here. And I know some people say algae, some people say algae, and I use them interchangeably. So it just really depends on where you are in the world, will determine how you say that specific word. And leave in the comments below if you have one of these, I'm going to try to say it again, rhododrumnias. And if you do, how does it grow for you? Does it really grow similar to a Tolumnia, or do you find you have to give it a little extra care? I'm just trying to get some of the sheaths off of these fans, because I know that's where the bugaroos like to hide without damaging that new growth over there. Let's see. All right, so let me spray her down real quick, because like I said, I'm not messing with the roots too much unless I see something that is obvious needs to be cut off, because the more roots she has to anchor herself in to her new setup, the better it will be for her. So let's just spray her down real quick. The cucumber orchid I actually ordered from Bloomify, and then this one I got from Jewel Orchids, a company out of Georgia that I found when I went on the hunt for my Jane Austen Cattleya type orchid. And they, like I said in the unboxing, they have a very good variety of orchids as well as really good pricing. So you guys go check them out. And their customer service as well is just amazing. So I'm just going to pull off any of the dead and dry. I'm not going to cut anything off though. If it doesn't come off on its own, I'm just not going to deal with it. There we go. All right, we'll let that sizzle for a second. And I like keeping these little pots. I don't really use them that much for orchids, but I do use them quite a bit to propagate my house plants that I do have. So, and leave in the comments down below if you've been watching my Sunday houseplant videos, and if you have any specific type of video that you'd like to see on Sundays. I'm trying something new and doing like houseplant videos on Sundays. I've missed a couple of Sundays, but I am trying to be a little more consistent with that. Let me get some water. My throat is really dry. You like how I called my coffee water? I love it. All right, so this is what we are going to put the iris in. Let me just take a little bit of that out, because since I am going to mix it, move that away. Okay. Put you off to the side. And let's see. And she's got her direction of growth is there. So I'm going to move her back just a wee bit to about right there. So I'm going to put her almost right there just to give her room to grow. And she's still sizzling just a wee bit, so we will wait just a moment. So let me know how everybody's weather is doing. Are you getting ready for winter, or are you getting ready for spring? And for those of you getting ready for spring, let me just say I'm jealous. I am so jealous for the beautiful weather you guys are going to get. I know you guys are coming out of your non-growing season and going into your growing season, and I'm happy for you. I'm just jealous. All right, I think she's been in there long enough. Let's grab some, do it this way. Here we go. And like I said, I'm going to move her back right here. And just do a little bit here. And these roots, like I said in the unboxing, they're very similar to the Tolumnia roots. So I'm very happy to know that the care is very similar to Tolumnias. Not that I've got a bunch of Tolumnias and I know what I'm doing, but at least this way I don't have to learn a whole new. And as I stated in my unboxing video, my last unboxing video, I will have to start doing a little bit more research prior to buying orchids, instead of just looking at the flowers and what they look like when they're in flower and buying. Because I'm going to end up buying something that is not conducive to my growing environment. And then not only is it sad to lose an orchid, but it's, it's a waste of money. It's not that these, are always that expensive, but at the same time, $20, $30, whatever, on something that if you would have done your research, you would have saved that money, because, you can't grow it in the environment you're trying to grow it in, and purchase something that you could grow. It's a big deal. All right, and I believe I have her as close to where I need her to be. Let's move her back just a wee bit. And I did leave some of the roots exposed because she did have exposed roots earlier. So there she is in her little setup. And I've already cleaned the tag, so we'll go ahead and put the tag in there. There we go. All right, well, let me just move this out of the way real quick so we can kind of see them all three in their finished product. So this is the, I'm going to say it, Rhododrumnia Aries Cornerstone crossed with Lovebird, that has lots of roots inside her pot, as well as a new growth coming. So we'll see what she's doing. We have the Tulumnia Jirac Super Brown with her, how many growths do we count? 1, 2, 3 new growths on her little mount with just a little bit of moss. And then we have our overpotted Cucumber Dendrobium that is in a moss bark mix. The moss is in the center. And like I said, if you look, there is like an airspace here. There are rocks almost to the middle of this pot. So the rocks go to about right here. So the pot is not as deep as it looks. It's actually a more shallow pot. And from what I've seen, the way that this gentleman grows once it gets established is it'll start kind of crawling along the media. So that's why I kind of put it in the center, just to kind of see where that direction of growth is. And with the moss in the middle, it might make it a little bit easier if I do need to change something or move it around after you guys let me know down below if you have any suggestions on improving my care. All right, well, there they are, guys. And again, if you have any of these, like do a care collab, let me know. Or if you have them and you just have some suggestions, let me know. I appreciate your stopping by, and we will see you on the next one.